Introduction to Assassination of Sword Immortal. www.zhaozuiyuan.com The world-renowned super assassin returned to his school 10 years ago to seek revenge against the enemy who had harmed his first love. However, to his surprise, the enemy had become the head of a large family and hired the Sword Immortal sect as a bodyguard. In the era of firearms, Chinese martial arts shone brilliantly. Warriors, swordsmen, and sword immortals connected the big and small Zhou Tian, forming a protective true qi and internal qi https://www.zhaozuiyuan.com. 1. Beauty saves heroes. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, September 1st is the day when college freshmen report. Kyoto, the gate of the highest university in the country, Zhejiang University, is bustling with people. Yuran got off the school bus to the capital railway station and looked around. Outside the school gate, there are cars everywhere, and the vast majority of them are luxury cars. Land Rover, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Porsche and other models are common, and Bentley, Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce, and Maybach are also not uncommon. At first glance, most students and parents on campus also dress well, indicating that they are either wealthy or wealthy. Yuran came to the table next to the boulevard and asked for the senior students in the history department to receive new students. Unfortunately, as noon approached, all the large tables were empty, with only one place surrounding a group of people. Yuran stood obediently at the back, waiting for him to queue up. The movement ahead was particularly slow, with more than 10 people, and it took half a day to finish. Yuran lifted her feet and looked inside the crowd, only to understand that those boys were constantly sneaking around, looking at their phones. From their excited conversation, I vaguely heard, "We've caught another batch of super assassins." Yuran pretended to be indifferent and lowered her head. The so-called super killer refers to him. In recent days, there has been a global sensation as the super assassin Xianxia assassinated the CEO of the world's top 100 conglomerate, the Cardi Foundation, and was subsequently hunted down and killed at the airport. Open any media and you can see a picture of the strings lying on the ground, unable to close their eyes. Subsequently, the United States of America announced in a high-profile manner that the killer organization to which the strings belonged, the Devil's Right Hand, would be uprooted. Of course, since it is an internationally renowned assassin organization, assassins naturally have 3 divine sands. The 8 immortals crossed the sea, each displaying their own abilities and fleeing one after another. So, news of assassins being arrested comes from all over the world every day. The latest news is that the true identity of the super killer Xianxia has been discovered. It turns out that Xianxia is from Chrysanthemum Country, called Murakami Attack, and is a violinist of the Tokyo Orchestra. However, even in everyone's dreams, they never imagined that the middle-aged people who were covered in secrets on the internet were vastly different from the freshmen in front of them. The true super killer Xianxia has started a brand new life. It's easy to see that the dozen or so people in front have all been received and arrived at Yuran Nature. Yu Tianran approached and asked in a friendly tone, "Can history students report here?" Upon hearing that it was a boy, the seniors were not in the mood to answer, and the 2 girls immediately shouted. "Ah! So handsome! So handsome, so handsome! I've never seen someone so handsome before. Even more handsome than a celebrity. The natural appearance of you is in line with the aesthetic standards of women in this era, and she has a baby face. However, you naturally doesn't have the girlish appearance of little fresh meat. He is not very cute or cute either. He has the handsome baby face of Jet Li when he was young." The 2 girls were excited and a bit incoherent, screaming incessantly, and the boys on both sides were all startled. Although Purple Light University is the highest academic institution in the country, and everyone has extremely high intelligence and rationality, the natural appearance of you makes boys feel too threatened. A boy said, "At first glance, he looks like a poor loser, dressed in street vendors." Just being handsome is useless. This is City A, even the tuition fee is not enough, and I will have to drop out in a few days. Yu Tianran successfully cultivated his way and had a keen sense of the six senses. Of course, he could hear it clearly, but he only ignored it. He was about to ask two girls to help with the procedures when he reached out a hand behind him, pushed him away, and loudly said, "Which of you, take me to the School of Economics and Management." This boy's action stunned several people. It can be understood that when there are too many people to sign up for, or if there are beautiful senior students, everyone should push forward. However, this is too much to push others away without any reason. However, several senior students immediately closed their mouths when they saw that the boy had come down from the nearby Cullinan. A student, being able to drive one of these top luxury cars, what an incredible background. The boy looked at Yu Xianran, who was frowning next to him, and instead felt amused. He said, "What are you looking at? Do you think that getting into Purple Light University can change your destiny? That's too naive. Wherever the wire goes, it's just wire hanging. In this society, it still depends on one's family background, understand? Do you know how much money my family donated to the school? Even if you graduate from Purple Light University, you still have to work for me." Yuran looked at him, his face slowly turning cold. Yuran is like a golden cicada shedding its shell and getting rid of the assassin profession, but he doesn't want to be a hanging silk that can be slaughtered for the rest of his life. Even when he was not a killer in the past, he had a calm and fearless personality. Yuran was about to teach this quiet boy a lesson when a girl next to her said, "That classmate, I'll take you to report." Yuran turned her head and looked for Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Where did the beauty come from? Why didn't you see it just now? The girl turned out from behind a group of boys and came to Yuran nature. You naturally saw that this was a very beautiful girl, with almost perfect appearance. Although still pure and innocent, that innate gentleness can conquer everyone. Her figure is also very good, with a chest circumference of C cups or more, a tall figure, and sexy long legs. She looks extremely sexy. Of course, you naturally needs to give face to the beautiful woman, so she came over and handed her admission letter. The boy who originally wanted to make things difficult for you nature would have to repent. Unexpectedly, by chance, this poor hanging silk was pushed to the prospective school flower. Before coming, this boy specifically browsed the website of Ziguang University to see what beautiful women there were. He already knows that this girl's name is Lanmenya, and she is a prospective student. However, he doesn't like the style of a genuine school flower. He has long been salivating over this quasi-school flower. The boy quickly pushed his materials to Lanmenya and said, "Senior sister, please help me check in first." Lanmenya smiled and said, "I've been sitting here all morning, just in time for an activity. Let's go, I'll take you there." Dozens of people immediately jumped out from the side to take the place of the school flower to do this difficult task, but Lanmenya refused all of them and insisted on giving jade as a gift. These boys certainly didn't dare to disobey the meaning of the quasi-school flower too much, so they had to watch her leave naturally with you. Yuran waved his hand at the boys while enjoying himself, and the boys gritted their teeth in hatred. By the side of the prospective school flower, Yuranran's thoughts were not on her, and his goal was to become a legitimate school flower. 2. Pig little brother type lady killer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the legitimate school flower is the daughter of Yuran's enemy, which is Yuran's goal. This student status was purchased by Yu Tianran for 1 million yuan. When he went to Ziguang University, his first opportunity was to get close to this only opportunity to contact his enemies. Secondly, he needs to really study some history and search for information on martial arts from the materials of Ziguang University. When his enemy persecuted his first love, he was also falsely accused of being the murderer of his first love and fled to the ends of the earth. When Yu Tianran became a killer and wanted to return to China for revenge, his enemy had become the head of one of the largest families in the country, possessing countless resources and bodyguards, hidden behind the scenes. He doesn't have enough moral skills to assassinate his enemy. So he returned after becoming a super killer, hoping to find opportunities from his enemy's daughter. Although Yuan followed Lan Menya's side, she didn't find a way to approach him like other boys did. He is not the kind of person who can't move when he sees a girl, especially since his former love slaves were all at the level of a milk god. He looks at ordinary girls as if they are undeveloped and has little interest. So, Lan Menya and Yuan walked a long way together, feeling that there were finally no bored boys chatting and relaxing. She looked at Yuan and found it strange as she looked at it. She couldn't help but ask, "How old are you?" Yu looked at her with confusion and said, "What are you saying?" Lan Menya smiled and asked, "How old are you? Did you jump to the next level?" Yuan said, "No, I took the exam normally. But I see that you look like you're only 10 years old, and my niece's daughter's skin looks like yours." Yuan felt very embarrassed for a moment. After becoming a killer, Yuan deeply realized that although this was an era of guns, the targets he wanted to assassinate were all closely guarded and it was impossible to approach them with guns. So, martial arts is the true treasure, these two hands are the weapons of murder. He learns combat techniques while searching for internal mental techniques. It's just that internal mental skills are not so easy to find, so he had to practice the usual monk Taoist Qigong. After experiencing numerous life and death tribulations, he surprisingly achieved enlightenment through misfortune. Many long-standing illnesses of enlightened individuals will heal without medicine, their skin will become tender, their face will become round, their gaze will become clear, and the pure-hearted nature of jade will reveal the beautiful features of a childlike appearance. He was originally 28 years old, but his appearance has actually returned to his youthful appearance, much higher than his original appearance. So, even if the CIA who hired him for assassination did not believe that the killer who was killed was Qin Xian, and wanted to kill him to silence him, they absolutely could not imagine him mixing in the youth age group. But when an adult suddenly returned to a childish state, you naturally felt embarrassed. You could only smile at Lan Menya. Lan Menya suddenly had a feeling of spring breeze intoxication, and looking at his smile, her whole body and mind were about to melt. Lan Menya woke up after half a day, with a feeling of waves passing by and leaving faint ripples on the water surface. After careful consideration, she realized that it was the reason why Yuan's smile was slowly converging. Lan Menya was very surprised. She is a very rational person, different from ordinary girls, neither in terms of appearance nor money. But she was actually moved by a boy, and it was just a one-sided encounter, which was beyond her concept. You naturally noticed Lan Menya's appearance, which was a bit strange. He is a technical assassin who never achieves his goals by selling his looks, so he has no experience in seducing girls. He doesn't know why Lan Menya developed this emotion. But since he is a super killer, he is also sensitive to psychological changes. He doesn't want to have too much relationship with Lan Menya. He doesn't want to create a shocking case of assassinating the head of the Kyoto family and implicate good girls like Lan Menya. So he changed the topic and said, "How much further is there?" Lan Menya blushed inwardly and pretended to be calm, saying, "There's still a long way to go. Actually, you don't have to worry. Probably the new students registered over there are still waiting in line." Yuan suddenly realized, yes. As Lan Menya walked ahead, she casually asked, "Where are you from?" "Jidong. I don't think you have the same speaking habits as me." "I'm from Liaodong." "Where is Liaodong?" "Shenyang City. I have relatives in Xianshan and I often go there to play." "Xianshan, I know. I even went to burn too much incense." Xianshan is the place with the most monks and Taoist priests in northeast China. Although Qianshan is a small town, there are many famous temples on the mountain. Yu Tianran said, "My relative's house has opened a vegetarian restaurant. Next time you come over, you can come to my house for dinner." In fact, he is from Xianxia, that so-called relative, is his true parents. Lan Menya sighed. What's wrong, senior? Lan Menya whispered, my mother's health is not good, burning incense is useless. There was nothing I could do about it, so you naturally fell silent. The two of them arrived at the place like this, and Lan Menya was very kind. Not only did she help with the admission procedures, but she also took him to the dormitory. The history department has a long history and is located on an old campus. The dormitories are also not new and difficult to find. Upon finding the dormitory, there were only 4 out of 6 people, and currently studying history is an unpopular major. The other 3 freshmen had already arrived, and when they saw Yuran walking into the dormitory with the company of a beautiful girl, the other freshmen immediately froze. Lan Menya had long been accustomed to the expression on this boy's little pig, and she smiled friendly. Then she said to Yuran, all right, I'll take you here and I'll go back. Yuran nodded and said, thank you, senior. Lan Menya smiled again and walked away gracefully. 3 boys scream. Why did a boy send me here? He even threw me halfway through the library www.zhaoshuyuan.com and left. Me too. What's the secret? Hurry up and tell me. Yuran looked at them and arrogantly raised her face, saying, heroes save the beauty. 3 boys screamed again. Now everyone knows that if you want to make a girl move, heroes saving the beauty is the most effective. 3 people hurriedly asked, how was it saved? Can you play? Do you also know martial arts? Yu Tianran said, you don't need martial arts, just have a bit of vision. You see her surrounded by a bunch of perverts, go over and rescue her, and naturally succeed. Everyone nodded in admiration, this stunt must be remembered. With this beginning, a few people quickly got to know each other. The first person to talk to Yuran is called Li Chen, the tall and thin one is called Huang Jiming, and the one who dares not speak is called Guilong. Li Chen and Huang Jiming are both from Kyoto and were recruited independently. Their exam scores are more than 100 points lower than those of Guilong from Yuran Nature in Xiaocheng town. The headquarters of the largest company in the country are all located in Kyoto, and in the future, finding a job and having a relaxed life for them will inevitably reveal a sense of superiority. Although Guilong is a top student, he feels inferior in everything and is very careful when he arrives at Ziguang University. You couldn't help but sigh. According to the Book of Changes, 1 destiny, 2 fortunes, 3 feng shui, for accumulation of yin virtues, and 5 reading. This is the system of the nationalist dynasty, where the family's mansion is well settled, and those in small towns who study are useless. After getting to know each other, the 4 naturally separated. Li Chen and Huang Jiming spoke, while Guilong and Yu naturally spoke. The level has appeared. When the year of the long comes, if you want to succeed, can you order a free collection? 3. Strong Seduction Organization. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. After getting to know each other, the social hierarchy of the dynasty emerged. Fortunately, those who can enter Purple Light University have at least reached the level of intelligence, and there is no obvious barrier between them. It was already noon, and a person from the dormitory went to the cafeteria together. The cafeteria of Ziguang University is famous nationwide, with 16 independent cafeterias, not to mention some hidden cafeterias. Each cafeteria has its own unique style, offering a variety of snacks and foreign cuisine from the 8 major cuisines. With the progress of the times, various popular snacks have also been launched, and new dishes are developed every week. The most important thing is that the prices in the cafeteria are very cheap, and you can eat 3 meals here a day for no more than 20 yuan. To the great surprise of several classmates, Yu Ran looked thin and weak, but she bought more than 10 dishes, piled up like a small mountain in front of her. Although several classmates followed suit and made others feel overwhelmed, there was still a lot left. Everyone thought this would cause astonishing waste, but unexpectedly, in the end, you naturally ate all the dishes. A few classmates can hardly speak. You didn't explain it specifically, he just said that he usually eats a lot. In fact, it is Jade nature who is pushing towards the next level of martial arts, consuming a lot every day. As the ancient said, some people eat an ox every day. Yu Tianran said, look at you guys, it's not uncommon to see them all. It's normal for people to eat more when they're hungry. He only finished speaking when he realized that his surroundings were very abnormal. Looking around, the whole cafeteria was watching him. Everyone looked stunned, and it was also the first time in their lives that they had seen someone so capable of eating. You looked at them awkwardly, but saw a girl smiling at him behind the crowd. Originally, Lan Mengya was also watching him over there. Yuran felt even more embarrassed and smiled pleasantly. Lan Mengya couldn't help but burst out laughing. She raised her hand and shook her phone at Yu Nature. Yuran quickly took out her phone, took out the battery from her other pocket, and put it into her phone. My classmates all feel strange. What's going on? How did he open his phone? Li Chen's mind was fast, so she quickly took out her phone and entered the school forum to take a look. In front of her was a top post. The most handsome king of stomach in history. There's nothing else in the post, it's all pictures of Yuran nature lying there eating big. The clicks on the post have all reached several thousand, it only takes a few minutes. Yuran has not found a place yet and is currently searching for the ranking list on the ferry. Li Chen raised her phone in front of Yuran and said, look. You said awkwardly, I feel like I've eaten enough, I should go back now. A few people huddled their necks and quickly slipped away. Upon arriving outside, you naturally asked, what website did you access? Li Chen said angrily, our school's forum. You're studying at Ziguang University, don't you know about the famous Ziguang BBS in the country? We don't have internet access in our village, you said with a tearful expression. A few people are all happy. Li Chen taught Yuran to register on the school forum, but Yuran looked silly and didn't even know how to register. As she was speaking, a girl next to her said, I'll teach you. A few people turned their heads and saw why Lan Mengya had arrived. Li Chen is also a person who is passionate about campus gossip. She has long investigated and found out that Lan Mengya does not use false language towards boys and rarely takes the initiative to talk to them. Today she took the initiative to talk to Yuran several times, it was like the sun was rising from the west. Actually, Lan Mengya also finds it strange. She's already at noon, so of course she can't cross half the city's campus back to her college cafeteria for dinner anymore. She ate in this cafeteria and unexpectedly met Yuran Ran again. Moreover, this time she saw the kind of smile that made her feel intoxicated by the spring breeze, and her heart was pounding with excitement. Although Lan Mengya's heart is a bit racing, she is a rational person and still needs to see what exactly happened. Yuran took a step back and stood next to Lan Mengya, clumsily playing with her phone. A few bad friends really want to give Yuran a punch. This guy really seems to have never been online before, it makes us lose face in front of the goddess. Lan Mengya didn't see the smile that made her feel intoxicated by the spring breeze this time, but Yuran's voice was soft and pleasant, as if the lingering sound was lingering. The words had already been spoken, and her voice was still echoing in her ears, giving a feeling of spiritual turmoil. Lan Mengya still finds it very enjoyable and hopes that the longer it takes, the better. However, the nickname Yuran Nature has never been well received, as it has all been used by others. Looking at Lan Mengya, she was a bit impatient and incoherent, and a few bad friends even had the heart to kill Yuran. Just then, a passionate voice asked, Beauty, do you need any help? A few people turned their heads and saw a boy standing in front of them. Lan Mengya recognized at a glance that this was the new student who was supposed to hit the natural jade when reporting. She has seen this kind of playboy many times and is very annoyed. But she comes from a working class background and cannot offend such people. She still said calmly, I helped others. After speaking, she went to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com and came back to help Yuan Nature, only to find that Yuan Nature had long been missing. A few people were all very strange. They turned their heads and searched for a while, but apart from seeing the other two men and women who suddenly appeared, they didn't even see Yuan. Originally, when everyone turned their heads, a new boy had already grabbed onto Yuan's collar, threw him behind them, and then blocked him with his tall figure. The boy still spoke politely to Lan Menya, but Lan Menya answered absent-mindedly with kindness. Yuan shouted behind the boy who was blocking him, how could you hit someone? The boy turned around and said fiercely, get away, you idiot. Originally, this boy and that girl were followers of the person who spoke to Lan Menya, specifically driving away other boys and creating opportunities for him to approach prey. You naturally felt that things were beyond his common sense, and he had never seen such a professional flotation organization abroad. Yuan naturally suppressed her desire to tear these little brats apart and pretended to be pitiful. Sure enough, Lan Menya angrily said, what are you doing? How could you hit someone? The fierce boy remained silent. He played a thug role in this group, and the rest were decided by the boss. The elegant playboy pretended to be surprised and exclaimed, oh my, you're too feminine. You just touched it and called it this way. The fierce boy smiled and said, that's right, you should go back and find your mother to breastfeed. The girl next to her pretended to be sympathetic and pulled at Yuan, saying, I'll take you to the medical room. She looked weak and her hands were like iron hooks, naturally pulling the jade away. When the year of the long comes, if you want to succeed, can you order a free collection? For, this is an organization that strives to dominate the world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the girl's hand brought by the playboy is like an iron hook, naturally pulling away the jade. You naturally discovered it long ago. These few people are not simple, they are all warriors. Of course, that playboy is walking aimlessly. Even if he practices unparalleled divine skills, he must have been stripped of his body by his drunkenness and lust, and his kung fu has been shot out. But the two male and female fighters are experts, with at least 200 kilograms of fist power, reaching the level of a boxing champion. Having achieved so much at such a young age, and willing to quietly serve as a bodyguard for this playboy, his family must be extraordinary. Yuan lost her focus and had already been dragged away by the girl. She stumbled and stumbled. A burst of wild laughter came from behind. You naturally struggled to get up and look down. Her crystal-clear palm was covered in bloodstains. The girl next to him looked at him contemptuously, clearly thinking that this boy was a waste. At this moment, another hand reached out next to him and held onto Yuan's hand. Yuan turned her head and saw that it was Lan Menya. Lan Menya whispered, let me take you to the medical room. Thank you, Yuan whispered. The two of them left the crowd and walked towards the distance. The boy ran and said, oh my, your body is really weak. Why did you fall now? Yuan looked at the boy and then at Lan Menya, but remained silent. Lan Menya didn't speak either, just silently walked forward with you. The boy pretended to be generous and said, are you going to the infirmary? I have a car, I'll see you off. Yu Tianran said, are you sure? If you take me to the medical room, will I have broken bones and tendons? The boy still said proudly, beauty, look at his body. He's really too feminine, isn't he? Lan Menya ignored him. Yu Tianran said, SB, can't you tell? Beautiful women don't like the kind of underworld, they only like those who are more feminine. Don't you watch TV dramas? The boy was stunned. He always felt good about himself in high school, whether it was harming high school girls or playing with some little celebrity. He thought that if he appeared tall and handsome in front of women, he could compete with all his opponents and hold on to a beautiful woman. At this moment, he remembered that with the popularity of fresh meat, he felt strong, but it had the opposite effect on those who liked fresh meat. He stood there, watching the backs of Yuran and his companions, gritting his teeth and thinking about how to turn the tables. After walking far away, Lan Menya smiled and said, "Did you do it on purpose just now?" Yuran smiled proudly and said, "There are a few good things that can get into Ziguang University." Lan Menya laughed and scolded, "What are you saying?" Upon thinking about it, Yuran didn't really hit the nail on the head, so she scolded Lan Menya as well. So he said, "Oh no, only I can come up with such a genius solution. By the way, I'll call it this username. Genius shines on stage." Lan Menya said, "This is also called a genius. It's about a big fool. By the way, just call it this internet name, and the big fool will make a brilliant appearance." Jade's protest was ineffective, and Lan Menya registered him. Yu naturally rolled her eyes. The two of them arrived at the medical room, and the school doctor cleaned Yuran's wound. The school doctor bandaged and said, "Classmate, I've never seen such tender skin in my life. My daughter's skin wasn't as tender when she was in elementary school. How did you take care of it?" Yuran looked at her hand and felt strange. Although he has read ancient classics, he doesn't know why his skin turns jade-colored and so tender. The ancients only introduced phenomena, not principles. The school doctor asked, "What are you using?" "It smells so good, it doesn't smell like regular cosmetics." Yuran was surprised this time and said, "Does it smell good?" Lan Menya leaned in and sniffed hard, saying, "Really, what kind of fragrance?" "It smells so good." Yuran naturally sniffed her chest and said, "No. Have you guys smelled too much medicine? I'm a man, what cosmetics do I use? Do you really think I'm a fake mother?" The school doctor and Lan Menya both laughed. However, the school doctor still said, "It smells good. It smells a bit exciting. Is it a new aphrodisiac perfume? Do you think I can afford to buy that one?" said Yuran angrily. The two of them looked at Yu Tianran. His sweatshirt was washed transparent, bulging, and his shorts were also old, which couldn't be bought at street vendors in small towns. Even if Yuran is a loser, he has no money to buy the latest aphrodisiac perfume. The school doctor had to say, "What's going on? Is it the scent of the thing you used for bathing?" Yu Tianran said, "I just checked in. What kind of shower should I take? Now I want to go take a shower because I'm sweating all over on the train." The school doctor advised him not to get his wound wet and to run out of the academy like a natural escape. Lan Menya chased after him with a smile, and the two of them stopped. The two stood silently for half a day. Lan Menya felt that Yuran was either too dull or simply undeveloped, and had no idea she wanted to strike up a conversation with a beautiful woman. Why hasn't he remembered to ask for his phone number for so long? Lan Menya could only say, "University is different from high school, there are many difficulties. Add a friend and ask me if there is anything you don't understand." Yuran naturally knows what she means, he just doesn't want to implicate her. But since they said it, it's not easy to get them back. That's not just hurting someone's face, it's also too abnormal. So Yu naturally took out her phone and scanned the code with Lan Menya. Then the two of them politely broke up, and Lan Menya saw that this boy had rarely seen him off, so she left on her own. She has come to realize that she has a homosexual tendency. She looks even more beautiful than a girl, which is already very obvious. Unfortunately, another one was wasted. Yuran arrived at the dormitory building just now, and the fierce boy was already waiting for him. These three people are actually an organization that will strive to dominate the world in the future, not comparable to elementary school students. The boy leading the way is called Chinkino, and the largest electric vehicle manufacturing group in China is currently owned by his family. And this boy and that girl are executives and assassins trained for him by his family from birth. Three people grew up together from a young age and hired famous teachers to learn martial arts together. Taking down Yuran is the first step in establishing an organization at the highest university in the country. When the year of the long comes, if you want to succeed, can you order a free collection? 5. The standard play of using softness to overcome hardness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, each family, big company, has a long-term vision and has been cultivating heirs since childhood. Xianxia's father also started planning from a young age, and his two closely related children became subordinates of the company's successors. The transfer of power began 10 years ago. Xianxia's company started in Jiangsu and Zhejiang provinces and has now become the leading new energy vehicle company in the country, relocating from Jiangsu and Zhejiang to the capital. Coincidentally, Xianxia had also reached the age of going to college, and had just arrived at Purple Light University to start building his network. Graduates from Purple Light University, some in politics, some industry elites, are all at the top of the social pyramid. Having the connections of Purple Light University means controlling the whole country. Establishing power and eliminating opponents is certainly a necessary step. Today, Yu Ranran made Xianxia feel embarrassed in front of Lan Mengya. He hates Yu Ranran to the bone and must first kill her. The ferocious boy is Xianxia's rightful thug, and of course he is facing Fu Yuran. When Yuran saw this boy, he felt a bit absurd. He didn't even pay attention to these little crawlers, and he didn't expect these ants to kick their noses and face. The boy walked towards Yuran with a fierce smile, and Yuran said first, "What are you doing? Our well water doesn't catch the river." The boy grinned and said, "I'm not doing anything. Anyway, if you post this online, you won't have anything to do. You naturally feel strange, is it that simple?" He took the phone handed over by the boy and saw some pictures on it. He asked, "What's so dark about this?" "The skirt bottom of the girl you photographed today. Is there any benefit in seeing this?" "I haven't seen anything clearly," you asked shamelessly. The boy laughed wildly and said, "Yeah, you're crazy. Did you register your account today? Use that account to send it out." You naturally understood and asked him to post this kind of thing on the Purple Light University forum. Of course, the university cannot spare him. That is to say, he died on the first day of school, and then there was no more. And Xianxia can even use this name to find Lan Mengya, appear with a caring face, comfort the girl who is not good at people, and take advantage of the opportunity to enter. The boy grinned and raised his fist as he was about to strike, when you naturally took the lead by pointing his finger. The boy looked up and was startled. Originally, there happened to be a camera overhead, facing in front of the dormitory building door. He used to be in high school, and there weren't many cameras on the entire campus. Now this is Purple Light University, the highest academic institution in the country, with abundant wealth and strength. Of course it's different. Moreover, Zhejiang University also undertakes some national defense research projects, and there are often hostile foreign forces coming and going. Of course, Purple Light University has to guard against foreign spies who are much more dangerous than these little brats, and surveillance is essential. The boy grabbed Yuran's arm and said, "Let's go." Yu was naturally pulled unsteadily by him and followed him out of the building door. After the two of them arrived upstairs, the boy's originally well-proportioned face became even more twisted and ferocious. He asked, "Let me ask you again, do you want to send it?" Yu Ranran's face showed a strange smile and said, "If you don't send it, what can you do to me?" The boy was furious and punched hard. He wants to knock out Yuran and send it out on his phone. Even if the school investigates, you naturally cannot argue. The young man is young and has reached the level of a first-class expert. This swift attack, like a gust of wind, drives straight in and smashes towards the face of Jade Nature. This kid doesn't even care about his martial arts, he doesn't even care about the consequences. If this heavy punch hits his face, at least a skull fracture is certain. Unexpectedly, he suddenly felt as if he had no point of focus on his entire body, floating and feeling very uncomfortable. He had not yet understood what was going on, and he felt a feeling of soaring through the clouds and mist. Everything in front of him was flying rapidly forward, and then he fell heavily to the ground, almost fainting. Of course, this kid didn't know, but the move that Yuran used was the classic move of Tai Chi. The introduction failed. The introduction of emptiness is an advanced level of Tai Chi and many internal martial arts, which is the standard way of using softness to overcome hardness. Specifically, it's the opponent attacking, so I lure them in, leverage their strength, easily exert force, and knock them away. Zhaozuiyuan.com. A gentle touch of the body, palms, and fingers of Master Tai Chi can release a person into the air, which is the most common and charming event that occurs in Master Tai Chi and is always talked about. This kid fell on the ground in a daze, not even knowing how he lost. How did Yuran defeat him? Is it a supernatural ability? Actually, Yuran is not good at Tai Chi. When he first became a killer, he was trained as a unified karate player. Later on, he wanted to use ancient Chinese martial arts to have stronger military power and survive, so he learned Monk Dao Qigong. But his internal skills never match his fists and feet, one size is one size. So he learned the authentic Neijia fist, with its form and meaning. This time he was truly able to use his internal skills, so his strength skyrocketed and he quickly entered the ranks of first-class assassins. The most proficient one he uses is Xingyi Fist. After an epiphany, he felt a growing sense of being born, not so murderous, and using form and meaning was not quite in line with his mood. So he learned Tai Chi again. It's just that the Tai Chi he practiced doesn't work well when faced with a master's life and death struggle, so he dares not use it. The little kid I encountered today is not in the same level as an international assassin or mercenary, so I can use Tai Chi as a disguise. The boy didn't believe in evil, shouted loudly, and jumped up from the ground. He rushed over and used the left and right hard doors of the 8 extremes fist technique. He forcefully broke open Yuran's hands with both hands, quickly approached, and used his shoulders to bump into Yuran's chest. This collision unleashed a force of 9 times his arm strength, combined with the impact, reaching an astonishing 3.6 tons of force. When the year of the long comes, if you want to succeed, can you order a free collection? 6. This kind of injury cannot be judged by the forensic team. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. The boy used an astonishing 3.6 tons of force to collide with Yuran's chest. Yuran still had a strange smile on her face, leaning aside to avoid the opponent's front line. Then, she pressed the opponent's wrist with her left hand, took a step forward, and punched the opponent's chest with her right hand. This move is the most ruthless and progressive move of the Tai Chi 5 hammers. Both sides are charging forward at high speed, with a combination of strength and even greater strength. The boy was hit so hard that he flew backwards 5 meters, landing on the ground with both feet, but couldn't hold back his castration. He involuntarily took a few steps back and finally sat down hard on the ground. He spurted out a mouthful of fresh blood with a thud, feeling his bones tingling and his limbs weak. Tai Chi's internal strength does not strike the surface of the body, but rather penetrates the entire body, shattering the opponent's bone marrow. Even though this boy was able to take good care of his body, he became weak in blood and energy, unable to carry his shoulders or lift his hands, and turned into a tuberculosis ghost. Unfortunately, this kind of injury cannot be detected by Western medical methods, even forensic doctors cannot determine it. Watching the boy transform from a martial arts master to a sick cat, you naturally sighed inwardly. If it were abroad, those assassins and mercenaries would be killed on the spot if they were punched like this. Although the other party failed, after all, with a solid foundation in Chinese martial arts, they still gained an extra life. Yuran slowly approached the boy and asked with a smile, "What's your name?" The boy became so used to following his master that it was his first time losing out. He still cursed, "Damn it. Why do you call it that? It's really unpleasant." "What's your boss's name?" said Yuran. Ran. The boy cursed again, "Damn it. Does the boss also call him this name? It's all so unpleasant." Yu naturally did not demonstrate his true abilities to interrogate him. Today, things were too hasty and there were many mistakes made. One mistake can easily lead others to grasp their true identity. Yuran took out a tissue and placed it in her hand, then took out her phone from the boy's pocket. The phone has a fingerprint lock, so Yu naturally grabbed the boy's finger and pressed it onto the phone. The boy wanted to struggle and resist, but now he doesn't even have the ability to move and can only watch as Yu naturally opens his phone. Yuran first looked at his address book and didn't see his master's name, so she didn't bother researching. Yuran used the boy's phone to access the campus network and posted those obscene pictures. Of course, Yu naturally gave the post a powerful title to ensure that everyone can see it. The boy still didn't understand what was going on, so Yu naturally put the phone at his hand, but promised that he couldn't get it. Then, Yuran said to the boy, "If I were you, I wouldn't have talked about today's matter, otherwise the trouble would have been even bigger. Your SB boss will definitely make you take the blame and kick you away when something happens." Yuran kicked the boy's ear and he obediently passed out. Yuran naturally took off the boy's shorts on his lap, stuffed his hand into his underwear, and ran away with a mischievous smile. Yuran had not yet entered the dormitory when she heard the shouting inside. He came in and saw several friends holding their phones shouting about pictures. "What are you looking at?" Yuran asked as she sat down at the table, re-wrapped her hands, and wrapped the gauze that had been messed up when she hit someone earlier. Li Chen shouted, "On our school's forum, the new students who checked in today made a photo of the girl's skirt bottom." "What's for a girl?" "A dress." Yu asked casually. Li Chen is less and less fond of talking with Yu Ziren. The whole ground beetle doesn't understand anything. Guoyalong helped popularize science and said, "It's a picture taken by sticking a phone under a girl's skirt. Is that okay? Can other girls be willing to do it?" Yu Tianran asked slowly and didn't understand what was going on. Huang Jiming said, "What are you willing to do? This is sexual harassment." Yuran leaned over and asked, "Let me see. Does the school care? Is Ziguang University so open?" Li Chen was about to reprimand him when he swiped his phone and the post disappeared. Li Chen had no choice but to say, "You have to memorize, it's gone. Can the school ignore it? This is not deleted." He is very excited and waiting to see the follow-up. After a while, a post from the administrator came out on the forum, asking Shuyuan www. Zhaoshuyuan.com to first declare that the person who posted will be held accountable, and then persuade those who browsed the post not to keep those pictures and to consider the girls. They are discussing whether the school should pretend to be deaf and mute like other schools or take disciplinary action. A girl has already reported to the police over there. Actually, the pictures in this post were not taken today, but these girls don't know. Purple Light University is just starting and accepting talents, and it is at a time when it is full of energy. Suddenly, such a thing happened, and even the president was extremely anxious. The click-through rate of the post is abnormal, and it is obvious that not only people from Ziguang University have seen the post. Hundreds of thousands of people have already arrived in society, and soon things will be trending. Ziguang University has never been so miserable in its life, and now it can be considered ruined. The police arrived soon and then approached the forum administrator, requesting to check the real name of the person posting. In this era, all registration is done through mobile phones, just look for your phone directly. The police, school staff, and enthusiastic teachers and students searched the entire campus for that shameless new student. Finally, I found the boy behind the boys' dormitory building. The desire for Purple Light University to instantly become the top-ranked university on hot searches and become the world's #1 university has been realized. Li Chen and the others didn't expect things to happen right under their own noses, and a few people were watching excitedly from the back window. Yu Ranran said to Li Chen, "You can go online and ask what you can do with him." Did this happen before? Li Chen quickly posted, and his post quickly rose to a high building. Various old students answered, revealing many secrets. This is useless. This kid has a deep background, how can the school handle it, said Yuran Ranran. When the year of the long comes, if you want to succeed, can you order a free collection? 7. To silence the Pope. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Tianran said, this kid has a deep background. How can the school handle it? Although Yuran did not interrogate the names and backgrounds of the 3 people who were trying to frame him, judging from their attire and behavior, these 3 people are not ordinary families. Li Yichen gloated and said, no background can protect him now. Those little fairies have caused trouble online, and the school dare not protect him. Although Yuran comes back from abroad every year to celebrate the Chinese New Year with her parents, after all, no one who lives in China every day knows more about the national conditions. He doesn't worry about these little crawlers either, he has bigger things to do. To deal with the largest family in the country, if you slack off a little, you will have to lose your life. Yuran opened her computer and entered the campus network to collect intelligence about her enemy's daughter. However, after watching for a while, there was no new progress. The daughter of the enemy is different from an ordinary college student. She has already been involved in social affairs and does not often appear at school. Of course, there is not much information available within the school. Yuran let out a long sigh, it seemed that more patience was needed. Any department that holds power is a bureaucratic institution. Despite the turmoil surrounding the city, Purple Light University did not make an immediate decision and remained silent. One day later, Ziguang University published a righteous and empty statement online, stating that the school will seriously investigate the truth of the matter. If it were an ordinary freshman, he would probably be able to kill him to thank the world by now, but this freshman had just entered the police station and immediately came to negotiate with the legal team of the largest electric vehicle group in the country, obviously with a deep background. I don't know if the school and police are really investigating or bargaining, but the news about that boy has not been processed yet. However, the identity of that boy was still exposed. It turned out that his name was Tang Chaozong, from Jiangsu and Zhejiang, and he was the son of a senior executive in a large company. The little fairies at Purple Light University have been warned not to post messages on the internet again, as things slowly cool down. Of course, Yuran knows more, and now she knows that the real mastermind behind the scenes is Chen Kino. In addition, that girl is also the child of a senior executive in their company, named Li Fengrui. Li Fengrui and Tang Chaozong were one scholar and one warrior, one strategist and one general, assisting Chen Kino. But so far, the 2 of them have not taken any action against Jade Nature. It is likely that Emperor Tang was tempted by Jade Nature and really did not reveal the details of the incident. Chen Kino thought his subordinates had loyalty and did not say that he was the one who framed Yuran. As for why he posted that post, he said it was because he thought he was using Yuran's phone, but didn't realize there was a mistake. Although Chen Kino thought he was a big waste, he couldn't help but save him, so naturally Yuran let go. There has been no progress on Yuran's matter, so I have to go and get busy with something else. After he assassinated the CEO of the Caddy Foundation, the CIA wanted to silence him. When he fled, he found that his passport had already been blacklisted by customs. Fortunately, he gave his passport to his Chrysanthemum Country stunt double, who was killed in a village attack and brought to the airport. But that passport was provided by the Pope of the Assassins organization, obviously the Pope betrayed him. In order to completely rid herself of her identity as a killer, Yuran simply silenced the Pope and stole all the information of the entire killer organization. Yuran had a plan to escape for a long time and had been preparing for a year, transferring his assets to the domestic market and dismissing his beloved slaves and servants. It will take time to transfer the extra assets of the Pope now. Yuran naturally needs to go and finish the finishing work of this matter now. He washed the Pope's working capital through the international money laundering network, leaving $10 billion with $3 billion. These money are truly clean and can be used openly. You naturally wants to use the name of foreign investment to transfer this money to the domestic market, invest in companies, and so on. You naturally went out to handle these procedures and traveled all over Yanjing. In the evening, you finally finished his work. It wasn't that his business was over, it was that the yamen was closed. He took a taxi to Fangshan. His mother said before that she would ask him to get some vegetarian practices of Fangshan. Yuan Ranran's mother's master said that she is a natural white-collar person, so his restaurant is a vegetarian restaurant. Yuan learned many lost crafts abroad and taught them to his mother. His family has several excellent jobs, so his family is very famous nearby. But Yuan Ranran's mother really likes this and always wants to learn new things. Since Yuan has arrived in Kyoto, of course she needs to learn more advanced things. Today is the weekend and there are a lot of people, so naturally they will have to wait outside in the yard. Yuan likes this kind of time the most, he can easily watch other people's lives. He used to struggle on the brink of death every day, even though he was a super killer and appeared glamorous on the surface. In fact, he was constantly worried and envious of the lives of ordinary people. Zhaoshuyuan.com. His gaze fell on a few people not far away, and he happened to hear them speaking his familiar language. A woman said in Spanish, "This restaurant is called Fangshan, and it was the food that emperors used to eat." Another old man with gray hair said in Portuguese, "Madam, I can't understand what you're saying." Spanish. The braised sea cucumber tendons here are very delicious. The sea cucumber has a strong and elastic taste, and the tendons are smooth and not greasy, fragrant and soft. It is very good for your body. Portuguese. "Madam," I said, "quickly help me find a restroom, I feel very uncomfortable." Spanish. At #UN%*. Portuguese. Yuan Ranran's lair is in Brazil, and of course, he is proficient in these two languages. As he listened to the conversation between these two people, he was already ecstatic. But later on, he realized something was wrong. Although he is a killer and has no habit of meddling, coming to eat and encountering an old man pulling his pants is not a wonderful experience. Yuan ran over and patted several men who were giggling beside him, saying, "Hurry up and take him to the restroom, he can't hold it anymore." These business elites carefully examined the old man's expression and finally understood. A young white-collar worker rushed over and pulled the old man running inside. The other few people looked at each other with a lingering expression of fear. As Yuan was about to leave, the man in the middle asked, "How could your spoken English be better than our translation?" Our translation is a graduate student from the School of Foreign Languages. When the year of the long comes, if you want to succeed, can you order a free collection? 8. The biggest problem lies in the last sentence. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Yuan's spoken English is even better than that of graduate students in the School of Foreign Languages. How could that be? He looks like he's only 10 years old, a prodigy. He spoke Portuguese, and the translator you found spoke Spanish. If she could understand it, she would go to hell, you said in a sullen tone. The boss glared at the translator with hatred, and the woman's face turned red with a splash. The boss gave several subordinates a fierce glare, and they were all ashamed to death. Yuan ignored them and went back to sit down on her own. The boss quietly came over and whispered, "Brother, you know Portuguese, right? Can you help us translate it? I'll treat you to dinner." Yuan said, "I have something to do." "Help, this is an investment of billions of dollars, I'll pay you the translation fee." "I'm not here to work, isn't it good for me to eat on my own?" said Uziran unhappily. "Brother, do me a big favor. I'll definitely not forget you. After that, I'll help you order the best dishes and rent a suite. You can eat as much as you like." After thinking for a moment, Yuan said, "Are you local?" "Yes, I am a local and the company headquarters is also here. I want to learn how to make imitation food. Just make a few dishes." Can you help me handle the chef and let me record it later? Okay, it's a small matter. Yuan said, okay, just this time, I have an urgent matter. The boss readily agreed. He sat next to Yuan and introduced their company's situation. Their company was originally called Yongxin Group, but now they are transforming and want to produce batteries. He has a wide range of connections, and upon hearing about this Brazilian old man's discovery of a lithium mine, no foreign tycoon has yet found out. He is currently seeking investment. His intention is to seize control of this resource and immediately reach the pinnacle of the world industry. Yuan sneered inwardly, can Brazil's muddy waters also be handled by people like you who have just entered the industry? A place like Latin America, even the United States dare not easily approach and easily kidnap Yankees. Brazil is also a city where half of the triads are organized. If you don't inquire, how dare you invest billions? However, as someone who looks shrewd and is born and raised in Kyoto, you naturally cannot guarantee whether there is any influence in their family. Anyway, he just helps pass a message, and he doesn't worry about anything else. After a while, a waiter came out and whispered, Mr. Zheng, there is a suite available now. The boss stood up and beckoned the Brazilian old man over. The old man had relieved his pressure, relaxed, and happily followed inside. You naturally followed in, and the translator had already been kicked out. Inside, there were executives ordering dishes, and Mr. Zheng chatted with the Brazilian old man. Yuan helped translate these insightful things. Seeing the old man with a smile on his face and nodding incessantly, Mr. Zheng was convinced that he truly had the ability to communicate successfully between the two sides. Then, when others eat, you naturally watches, and when others serve at the table, you naturally stands. You couldn't leave yet, because among the bunch of nonsense during dinner, perhaps the most important words related to business came out. He must ensure that they can be translated and recorded. Mr. Zheng is very satisfied with the natural language of you. Not only is the translation accurate, but he can also grasp the key points and remind foreigners of special contexts. This kind of grasp of Brazil's special national conditions is not only natural, but also truly inferior to others. Even if the authentic translation comes, the translators have not studied the special habits formed by Brazilian business people and triad cooperation in foreign language schools, so it is definitely a mistake. The Brazilian old man was very satisfied with his meal and finally said, if that's the case, then we can sign the contract tomorrow. There's an additional issue, you need to repair the road passing through the northern suburbs of St. Louis. Yuan almost burst out laughing. He translated his original words, and Mr. Zheng looked at him with confusion. Why are you laughing? Of course, you cannot say that the biggest problem lies in the last sentence of the entire banquet. If it were elsewhere, the entire country of Brazil would be impoverished, so investing in some infrastructure would not be a big deal. But the place the old man mentioned is a stronghold of the notorious Mexican criminal group Sonora. This group of people is not an ordinary mafia, but an armed group belonging to the 6 major families in Mexico. Kidnapping, extortion, and drug trafficking are their main sources of income. If the United States Intelligence Agency encounters such a person, they will first plead with the boss and then pay tribute. Your group of ordinary businessmen will run to someone's house to carry out demolition, isn't this seeking death? Chinese bosses all have a wealthy and generous demeanor, and at that time they made a decision, only building a suburban road, all of which was on me. The Brazilian old man breathed a clear sigh of relief and then truly relaxed. At first glance, Yuan knew that there were countless people ahead who had been tricked or scared away, and finally caught a group of people with a lot of silly money. Yuan redrawn a horizontal line on the notebook and found Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com to indicate that this was the focus of the conversation. After coming out of the imitation food and arriving at the parking lot, Mr. Zheng and his team took the old man to the car. Yuan said he had to go back for dinner and not deliver it to the old man's hotel. Mr. Zheng remembered his promise and personally brought Yuan back to Fangshan. He brought in the manager of Fangshan and personally arranged for Yuan to learn the art. Watching the manager of Fangshan nodding and bowing, you naturally guessed that this Yongxin group was not an ordinary company. Of course, it's not something ordinary businessmen can do to easily invest billions and control the new energy industry. This is Kyoto, at the feet of the emperor. A brick fell from the street and hit 10 people, with 9 of them related to the central nervous system. However, it also has a relationship, and we need to distinguish between high and low, far and near. This Mr. Zheng is probably someone with a deep background. Yuan didn't care about this, just saw Mr. Zheng's sincere and meticulous help in his affairs, and Yuan was quite grateful. Yu naturally doesn't care about any big boss himself. No matter how he dresses, if he shoots him down, he's afraid of anyone. But this is for my mother's business, so this help is important. When Mr. Zheng finished telling him to go out, Yu naturally caught up and said, "Forget about your investment. That road is not easy to repair." Mr. Zheng had just reached a big deal, and it was at a time when he was feeling proud. When he heard Yuan say this, he couldn't help but be taken aback. He quickly asked, and you hesitated for a moment before saying, "If your road could be repaired, the locals would have already repaired it. You should go check the local power. Brazil is not something you can go to. When the year of the long comes, if you want to succeed, can you order a free collection?" 9. The Helpless Civil War of the U.S. Military. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Yuan said, Brazil is not something you can go to. Mr. Zheng is also an international figure, not a complete stick. He certainly knew that Latin America was extraordinary, and upon hearing you naturally say so, he also became suspicious. He hurriedly said, "Brother, please make it clear to me that this is something entrusted to me by the higher-ups, not my responsibility. It will determine the entire industry, not a small matter." Yuan gave a bitter smile and finally said, "You go investigate the Sonora organization, and you will know." Mr. Zheng gestured to his subordinates and said, "Brother, just tell me directly. I won't sell you. So, I'll give you a VIP card from our group. As long as you take out this card, you can ensure everything goes smoothly." His subordinates really pulled out a gold card with a delicate pattern on it. Yuan's heart moved and she took the gold card. Mr. Zheng waited for him to speak, and Yu Ziren said, "I don't know about that mine, but this kind of commercial trap is common in Brazil. You must pass through the territory of armed groups when building roads, and there may be a war breaking out." Mr. Zheng was surprised and said, "War?" Yuan smiled and said, "Let's get to know about the drug war in the United States." Mr. Zheng returned from studying abroad in the United States, and he naturally knew that the drug war in the United States was a melee between dozens of drug trafficking groups, aimed at competing for the drug market in the United States. The United States is so domineering in the world that it cannot manage its own family's wars, which shows the terrifying nature of drug trafficking groups. Mr. Zheng felt cold all over and almost sat on the ground. He's finished now, their entire family is finished. He asked hoarsely, "Is there anything you can do?" You naturally had been hungry for half a day, and then watched others eat and watch for a few hours. Our country's cuisine emphasizes a complete range of colors, flavors, specifically teasing you to eat. Looking at such dishes for hours, it's not the willpower of a super killer that can withstand it. Aren't you not losing money? What's the rush? You go back and organize personnel to study. How do I know, said Yuan with great annoyance. Mr. Zheng still said absent-mindedly, however, we have investigated and his documents are all genuine. Yuan cursed inwardly, as she only earned billions of dollars by licking her own blood with a knife edge. This kind of SB can also have billions of assets. However, as the other party helped his mother get the recipe, he said patiently. He either played the game of drumming and passing flowers, or he was stuck by the drug trafficking organization. Think for yourself if you can wade through the muddy water. Mr. Zhang nodded slowly and was about to leave when he suddenly said, "Let's leave a contact information, and I'll consult you if I have anything to do." Yuan cursed inwardly, but still took out her phone. The executives next to him immediately understood that Yu was completely unaware of the significance of obtaining Mr. Zhang's phone number. "I don't know how many people are willing to spend all their money to change this phone number, but there's no chance at all." Mr. Zhang's assistant was also extremely shrewd and capable, and immediately came over and said, "This is my business card. If you think of any problems, please let me know." Yuan pretended to be enthusiastic and accepted the business card. Mr. Zhang and his group were anxious and hurriedly left. Yuan just sat down and tasted delicious. Since Mr. Zhang gave him a VIP card as a reward for his work, he cannot ignore it. Holding this VIP card and working at the Zhang family's company has become several times more convenient and faster than before. Originally, the Zhang family was very famous. They have been imperial teachers for several generations, and their holy family members are still prosperous. The Zhang family is a representative of the imperial emperor. With the big tree of the Zhang family, even if the CIA finds it, it will take a lot of effort to trace it. This is more beneficial for Yu nature to fish in mixed waters. On that day, Yu naturally returned to the dormitory and lay on the bed, resting. Guoyilong said, "Where have you been?" "They are all gathering their energy and preparing for military training. I heard that after the military training is over, everyone has only half their lives left." Yuan was taken aback. How could she forget about this matter? At this moment, his phone rang, and when he took it out, it turned out to be Mr. Zhang. "Hello, what's up?" asked Yuan Ranran. Mr. Zhang's voice was steady, and he couldn't hear any anxiety from his voice. He said, "We have sorted out the entire acquisition case and our conclusion is that the mine does indeed exist. So, that's all for the question you mentioned. Do you have any way to bypass that problem?" Upon hearing that the military training was not going well, Yu Ranran said wearily, "If we can bypass it, you can think of the Freshwater Valley as someone who can keep this fat and not give it to you for a cheaper price." Mr. Zhang and his team have reached the same conclusion now, but they have invested a lot of manpower and resources and are still not giving up. Mr. Zhang said, "You know about the environment over there. Do you know what companies there usually do? They also have to do business on a regular basis, so it's impossible for them to always keep their minds open and not mine. So what can we do? Spend money and eliminate disasters. Find a bigger boss to cover it up and pay protection fees," said Yuan Ranran in a long tone. Mr. Zhang was taken aback for a moment. Mr. Zhang, on the other hand, was a person who achieved great things. He immediately suppressed himself and asked, "So, who can suppress drug trafficking organizations?" Yuan smiled and said, "Of course it's a bigger drug trafficking organization. I'm not saying it. The group of people you provoked at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com is only ranked 6th. Also, let's see if it's related to the Special Police Camp. The Special Police Camp is a police officer who slaughters drug trafficking organizations. Drug trafficking organizations run away when they see the Special Police Camp." Mr. Zhang breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Is it official, right? Absolute official power. Okay, thank you. You have solved my big problem. If you need any help, you can come to me. It's more convenient to come to my home to mobilize funds." Of course, Yu naturally knows that they have already investigated him. He has made a $3 billion deal with Yongxin Group, which has surpassed major foreign conglomerates. Although Yuan may appear to be registering for foreigners, it is also an intermediary with a large customer base that is worth attracting. Yuan said politely and then hung up the phone. He suddenly shouted, "Stop. I have something to talk to you about." Mr. Zhang was definitely going to hang up the phone when he suddenly heard a shout and was startled. He calmed down for a moment before asking, "What's going on?" Yuan exclaimed, "Tomorrow's military training. Do you understand?" Mr. Zhang laughed and said, "Which one is not unforgettable about military training?" Mr. Zhang said, "Okay, I'll help you get a sick leave note. But don't be too ostentatious, understand? Understood, understood, hee, do things in a low-key manner and be a high-profile person. Mr. Zheng laughed. I didn't feel happy to meet the Zheng family, but taking a leave is such a small matter that I am happy about it. But how does he feel that something is wrong? When the year of the long comes, if you want to succeed, can you order a free collection? 10. The world's top 3 super killers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, during military training, others suffered under the poisonous sun, and you naturally returned to Xianxia to reunite with his parents. He has been abroad all year round, still in that profession, and his parents are constantly on edge. Finally, they have returned home, but they are worried that he will have another accident. Now that he can stay at home, his parents are very happy. After the military training, you naturally return to school. The dormitory was very quiet, and upon entering, a few bad friends were indeed feeling lethargic and lying on the bed. But a few people are still scrolling through their phones, whispering a few words for a while. Yuan smiled and asked, "Are you all doing well?" Li Chen looked at him and shouted, "I'm almost exhausted. You must treat me." Yu Tianran said, "You shouted and screamed just now, weren't you quite energetic? What did you see?" Li Chen's energy was only depleted, and she said weakly, "I found the murder diary of the super killer. I've killed so many billionaires." After being killed at the British airport, the stunt double trained by Yuan found his real passport and, of course, his home in Chrysanthemum country. Of course, a large number of tools for committing crimes were found from his home. The devils of Chrysanthemum Kingdom, especially those who often wear the chrysanthemum flag invaded during World War II like the villagers, take pride in having one of the world's 3 super assassins in their own country. In this way, the deeds of the village attack were not kept confidential and were deliberately displayed. In fact, the village attack is just a substitute for Yuan, and the real assassination is completed by Yuan, just wearing the mask of the village attack. Yuan laid out early and prepared to escape. This time he was betrayed and silenced by the CIA. In fact, he was already prepared and almost wanted to sleep. He brought a pillow. But because he had to practice his killer skills with the village attack, you naturally also took him to kill people. When the police turned back to investigate the surveillance footage of the big shots that Yuan had assassinated in the past, they saw people attacking in the village, and they were convinced that they had killed them. Now it has been confirmed that those high-ranking officials and wealthy individuals did not commit suicide or accidents. Of course, we need to investigate those who bought and killed people, and the whole world is causing chaos. Of course, people all over the world who eat melons are also blindly excited, and that's what Li Chen saw. Yu Tianran said, "Why are you pulling so far? What about our school? How has Tang Chaozong been?" Li Chen said, "I have been advised to withdraw. I haven't been arrested either. How could it be? I took so many photos of girls' dresses. It's not a skirt, it's a skirt bottom." He said it wasn't taken by him, it was downloaded from the internet. Who cares if someone goes online? Yuan had long anticipated this result and shook her head with emotion. Li Chen said, "You're not bad either. You know a big client now, and I can help you take a leave. Even Chen Kino didn't take a leave, and your background is deep enough." Yuan nodded slowly. The Zheng family was indeed a good cover and should be nurtured. After Yu Ziren sat down, Li Chen shouted, "My treat. I'll go to the cafeteria and buy some good dishes later." Yuan said, "Okay, let's go. You bought it, we don't even want to move." Yuan had participated in military training before, especially when he was just a killer. Every day, he was so exhausted that only half of his life was left, and he even used real guns to shoot at him with wounds all over his body. He understood this feeling. Yuan said, "What do you want to eat? I'll go buy it." Three bad friends suddenly gained strength, shouted loudly, and reported a bunch of dish names. Where are you supposed to be in the cafeteria? Can I bring back so much by myself? Said Yuran Ranran. Finally, after a painful decision, the three of them finally decided on the dish name. Yuran took the guys she could find and went to the cafeteria. She placed a bunch of guys at the window and then took out her phone to make a list. There were very few people in their cafeteria, and the whole cafeteria looked at him, both surprised and amused. Then everyone watched as he walked cautiously outside the cafeteria, carrying a pile of pots and pans like a small hill. Everyone was happy, and some even raised their phones to take pictures. At this moment, a soft female voice said, "I'll help you with it." "Thank you, thank you. The entire Purple Light University is just a good person, still a girl," said Yu Tianran in a continuous voice. The girl helped him hold several vegetable pots and the two of them left the cafeteria. When there was no one around, the girl changed her face and sneered, "Tell me, what happened that day? If you dare to play tricks again, I'll pour the dishes on your head." Originally, the girl who helped others was Li Fangrui, who came to force a confession. "Is it you who wants to ask, or is it your young master SB who wants to ask?" said Yuran with a mischievous smile. Li Fangrui sneered, "Is it okay? I really want to have a good conversation with you, help me send the dishes back, and then I'll talk to you," said Yuran Ranran. Li Fangrui looked at him and nodded slowly, "Okay, you'd better satisfy me, otherwise I'll just tidy you up. I'm not the kind of useless person who only grows muscles but not brains. Find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Yu Tianran said, "Don't be so ungrateful. Buying and selling cannot achieve benevolence and righteousness. I have what you need, and you have what I need. A harmonious society can still be built." Li Fangrui was trained by the boss to serve as a think tank for Xianxia, at least with a calm personality. She didn't shout out loud, like a friend, and naturally went to the dormitory with you. Three friends lying like dead dogs looked at the door and immediately jumped up. "Why is there another beautiful woman?" Although Li Fangrui is not as perfect as Lan Menya, she still has a beauty score of over 5 points, especially her charm, uniqueness, and flavor. Three kids are extremely envious, jealous, and hateful. Why did all the beautiful women come to find this unknown ground beetle? Beautiful women have big breasts and no brains. Didn't they hear him show timidity when he opened his mouth? Li Fangrui turned a blind eye to these little pigs and placed the dishes on the desk, standing aside. Yuran just put down the vegetables, and Li Fangrui grabbed him out of the room with a single hand. Yuran followed her stumbling to the end of the corridor. Li Fangrui looked around and asked, "What's wrong with Emperor Tang?" Xianxia felt that his subordinates had not confessed him, so he kicked him away and ignored him. Li Fangrui, however, felt that the matter was not so simple, so she came to investigate further. Yu Tianran said, "Isn't the school coming to a conclusion?" Li Fangrui felt restless as she looked at Yuran's innocent smile. She followed Xianxia for more than a decade, fighting and killing, but achieved nothing. Looking at other carefree classmates, she couldn't help but feel strong envy and jealousy. She wants to scratch the natural face of Huayu. When the year of the long comes, if you want to succeed, can you order a free collection?